Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Kiblinger, Amtec's host of the show Employment Champions on how recent graduates can obtain their 5 to 10-year goals. For this video, I put together a few of my favorite questions and a few of my favorite answers from CEOs, HR reps, and mayors on what they look for in new hires. In college, the focus is education and gaining relevant experience. However, regardless of experience in education, what are some qualities and characteristics that you've noticed that the A players that you hired all have in common?
The A players, they're so much fun to work with. And the one quality that really every single A player I've worked with has, can't wait to do it and be part of it. And it's not work at all.
The A players have a consideration of the community around them. And so as an employer, there are some things that I look for on a resume that may not necessarily be tied to your GPA or your summer internship. And,
Right.
questions that I ask tied to, do you challenge yourself? Did you challenge yourself in goals that you pursued in your extracurricular activities? Community service, no question. That is of value, and it shows character and experience. So I would say your self-initiative. It wouldn't matter to me so much what types of jobs you'd had before and more of the story. And so those might be subtle questions that I would be able to identify character of the A team that aren't directly related to the job that you're applying for.
So the A players that I really enjoyed working with once I hired, and so it goes back to how do you present yourself as that interview process and your resume, were individuals who didn't shy away from hard work, who were creative and willing to present new ideas. So not just identifying a problem, but presenting solutions and then being willing to work on those solutions. So it's those kinds of individuals that can quickly adapt, identify where solutions are needed, provide them, being willing to work on those, and identify resources or make the connections. Those are the types of A players that have long-term success. Yeah, at the same time, humble enough to realize it still is going to take guidance and input and learning and making some mistakes along the way, and knowing that those mistakes, as long as you don't repeat them, are lessons to learn. So those are the types of A-type personalities that work well in my past and currently.
I like to smile. I like people around me smiling. I like to have a good time. So we'll just leave it as, they have a different kind of amusement. Listening and understanding where people are coming from. Attitude is a good 90% of it.
And moving away from those A players and going all the way back to the hiring process, what are some red flags in a resume that would cause you to not want to hire that person?
The first thing that always drives me nuts is grammar. If I'm hiring someone who is either gone through high school or gone through college, writing skill to be there. If someone misspells maps, to me it just shows a carelessness about even proofing their own work. Second thing is, it's not that hard to tell when people are inflating their resume. So we run through some examples of things they'd be working on, and they stall.
I think in this day and age, a lot of the old school things that might used to cause a red flag, like gaps in employment or job positions that seemed like maybe you held, but you might not be old enough or to have held those. I throw those out nowadays, and I really try and look at the resume as a conversation starter and ask questions about what normally would be seen as a red flag. So for me, I've changed that attitude about what's a red flag and instead said it's a conversation starter.
Like for a recent position, I had 800 resumes to go through, meeting the qualifications for the position. So there's an educational background or experience I'm looking for. If you don't have a GPA, that's a red flag for me. I'll still take a look and I'll scan the resume a bit further, but big deal to me.
I think it's pretty obvious from where we sit in reviewing resumes, misrepresentations. Be proud of your achievements and represent them.
So what is one thing that you wished you had known when you first entered the workforce after school?
When I first entered the workforce after school, of course, it's, as you all know, as college students today, our perspectives are really tied to the socioeconomic environment occurring at the date at which we're graduating.
Right.
And I wish I had known how much flexibility would serve my capacity to achieve my goals. Because I think when you graduate, you have a certain idea of one specific industry or career path to follow. And of course, that's always a start, but there's likely to be many bends in the river. And so I would say, understand that the path ahead, you will achieve your goals with a flexible growth mindset, and that will enable you to look for opportunities where you may have not thought you would find them.
So what is something that you wish you had known when you first entered the workforce after school?
The cover letter it's important to really focus in on what is it about the company that you're interviewing at. What is it you love about that company? And there's not a high expectation that you have a lot of experience. Don't worry too much about, just make sure you focus on your degree program and how you did, and internships maybe that you worked in.
I first entered the workforce after school. Of course, it's, as you all know, as college students today, our perspectives are really tied to the socioeconomic environment occurring at the date at which we're graduating.
Right.
And I wish I had known how much flexibility would serve my capacity to achieve my goals. Because I think when you graduate, you have a certain idea of one specific industry or career path to follow. And of course, that's always a start, but there's likely to be many bends in the river. And so I would say, understand that the path ahead, you will achieve your goals with a flexible growth mindset, and that will enable you to look for opportunities where you may have not thought you would find them.